One of the easiest ways to increase your store sales and revenues is through improving your store conversion rate. And in order to do this, you must improve your product pages because they are the most important pages on your store. They are the pages where your customers or your potential customers are going to make up their minds whether to buy or not to buy. In this video, I'm going to give you a step-by-step tutorial into how to build the perfect Shopify product page. We are going to cover everything, all the different features, all the different things that you can use in Shopify in order to improve these pages. Shopify has improved greatly in the past few years, and now we have a lot of options and features that weren't available before. I will start this video by showing you how to create the perfect product page. Then I will show you how you can duplicate this product page and create a different template. So let's say, for example, you have two types of products, A and B, and you want to have different layouts for your product pages. We are going to cover this when we cover the templates part. Then I'm going to show you how to make your product pages dynamic. So let's say, for example, you sell different products and each of your products has a different size chart. We are going to see how to make the size chart part of your product page dynamic and different from one product to another. But not only that, I'm going to show you a lot of advanced things that you can do using Metafields. And I promise you, I'm going to make things super easy. So even if you have zero experience, you are not a tech person, this tutorial is going to be perfect for you. We are going to finish this video by something super special where I'm going to show you how you can use AI in order to customize your Shopify sections, especially if you want to change colors, buttons, spacings, and stuff like that. And yes, even if you have zero experience with coding, you will be able to follow up with this section and apply everything I'm going to teach you. We are using AI to make it super easy for everyone. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be easy for you no matter from where you are starting. I don't think I've ever created any Shopify product page tutorial as detailed as this one. So I highly recommend you to watch this video until the end, then rewatch it while you are building up your product pages. And down the road, if you like this video or if you like my videos in general, please don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell, because in this way you will get notified each time I publish a new video. And now let's start with the fun part and let's move to my Shopify dashboard to start building the perfect product page. In this video, I'm going to be using the Horizon theme, which is one of the newest Shopify themes. But regardless of the theme you are using, whatever you are going to learn in this video will remain applicable. So don't worry about this, but I will be using this theme as an example. So from your Shopify dashboard, you go to customize. And what we are going to start with first is to build our first product page. And it's very important to mention here that the more complicated your product is, the more information you need to include within your product page. Selling a normal bottle is different than selling a bottle that filters water, for example, or selling a simple makeup concealer is different than selling an inversion table. So you need to think about all these things, your product prices, where do you stand in market, how special your product is, does it solve a certain problem, does it promise certain results, and so on. And based on this, you decide the structure of your product page. If you want to know more about how to craft your product descriptions and what type of information you want to include, I highly recommend you to check this video on my YouTube channel, and there I talk more in details about this. But now let's assume you have this figured out, and let's start with the technical part of creating your product page. I have already included one product on my store and we are going to work on it. It has variants, so we are going to talk about swatches and all of this. So from your Shopify dashboard, you go to customize, and directly after this, you go in here to your products, your default product. Remember, we're creating the first product page template. And since I have only one product on this store, you can see that Shopify directly loaded this product in here. But if you want to preview a different product, you can click here on change and basically change what product you are previewing. All of these products are draft, so I can preview them if I want. Any product page should start with product images and the information next to this product images. Remember, Amazon is one of the biggest e-commerce stores, so following up on their leads is always a smart move. I sometimes see stores where they have like switch things, so they have the images on the right, the text on the left, and so on. I prefer to keep the same familiar experience we are used to. On desktops, we are used to have the images on the left, the text on the right, and on mobiles, it's like stacking above each other. We are going to talk about mobile later, but I prefer to keep a familiar experience because this is what your potential customers expect. So we want to preserve this familiarity. As you can see in here on the left, we can see the sections that are available within this default product page, and this comes by default with the theme. So we have the product gallery in here, we have the description, the swatches, and as you can see, they are directly showing in here with the colors. I will show you how to do this, and if you scroll down, you will see like that's it. We have like recommended products and that's it. And since I don't have any products on my store, I can't see any recommended products, but we're going to set this up in a few minutes. Let's start with the first most important section on your product page, and it is the product information part. And this is where customers are going to land first when they land on a product page, especially if you are running ads and you are directly forwarding them toward this page. So this is the part they are going to see first. That's why it's super important. First, we have the product information, and it's the full section. And inside of this section, we have first the product media, and it's the product images. Then we have the details, and it's related to everything on the left, text, buttons, and everything. So let's start first by clicking on the product information. And again, no matter what theme you are using, it's going to be the same. You click in here and you check all the available settings in here, and what you are seeing in here is going to differ depending on the theme you are using. If you are using a professional theme, most probably you are going to see more options in here. If you are using a free theme, most probably you are going to see limited options. So the first thing we have in here is the width of the page. Do you want it to be a page width or a full width? So you choose in here. Then you have the position of the media. So do you want it to be on right or on left? Again, I prefer to keep a familiar experience, to keep it left. Then in here, you can decide to have your columns equal. So you click here on equal columns. So they will have the same dimensions. As you can see in here, it's mid and it's full. If I choose in here to have it not equal, it's going to be like this. So it really depends on your preferences, how you want your product page to look like. And in here you can see the gap, so the difference between the two columns, how far they are from each other, the two parts of the section. And in here you have the color schemes. Color scheme is a very large topic and I can't cover it in this video. If you want me to create a video about it, please tell me in the comment section below. But basically, it's here in the settings of your theme. When you set up your themes, you need to go to colors and you need to set up your schemes. And when you do that, basically you are creating different types of colors displays. So for one section, you would have a different background color than other section, the text and everything. So when you go to a scheme, you can see that you can change all the colors. You can go back in here and set up a different scheme with different colors. You just need to follow up your brand colors and see what contrasts best and build up your schemes. So when you go in here, you can choose your scheme. So whether you want it to be with a gray background or a green background, like in here, you can do this. Then we have the padding section, and it's related to the spacings above the section and below the section, so you can add some spacings if you want. Again, what you are going to see in here will depend on the theme you are using. Now let's move into the product media, and it is related to changing the appearance of images in here. I personally don't like this layout. I think it is crowded. I don't like it. I prefer to have like one image with a thumbnail below it. And in here, as you can see, you can choose between grid and carousel. So if you choose carousel, you will be seeing one image, and we should be seeing the thumbnails below it. So this is related again to the theme you are using. What you are seeing in here is related to your theme settings. So if we go with carousel, let's see, we have arrows. We can see arrows to move from one image to another. Under the carousel settings, you can see how we can modify these settings. So in here, you can go, for example, with changing the icons of the arrows, or in here you can choose to see thumbnails, which is my favorite option actually, is to see the thumbnails in here. Okay, and you can change the position of the thumbnail. So do you want them to be in here? Do you want them to be bottom? Do you want them to be left? I like them to be bottom. Again, this is a personal preferences. It's up to you and to your store style. And you can choose the width of your images from here. If you scroll down, you will see more options related to the media. So do you want your media to be all the same dimension, or do you want it to be landscape, or do you want it to be auto, depending on the image original size? I prefer to keep things simple and to keep things organized and to have all my images the same size, and I always go with square. So I will go with square in here, and as you can see, my image is fitting well in here. And you can in here decide whether to extend the media to the screen edge or not. I'm gonna turn this off. And these are some, let's say, options related to the display. I'm not gonna play around with them. And again, in here we have the padding section, which is related to the spacings around this part of the product information. So we are changing the paddings of the product media. Now that we have set up the product media part, let's talk about the information part. And we can access the settings of this part in here under details. And as you can see, this is a one block, and if you close it, there are elements inside of it. So we can add to these elements, or we can remove, we can hide, we can do whatever we want. I'm going to start first by moving the description up. I always like to have my description in here. I think it's important to tell a little bit about the product before asking people to buy it. If you are selling something that needs a lot of information or has a lot of benefits, you might need in here to add like bullet points about your product benefits and so on. It really depends on your product and how complicated it is. Let's start by the header part, and it is related to the product title and the product price. Again, what you are going to see in here will differ on the theme you are using. In most of the themes, you will see the price and the product title, and you can't change anything in them. In here, if you click on text, you will notice that we have something linked in here. It's a Metafield. They have linked to the product title. Don't touch this section. We want the product title to show. Then we have in here the layout. So do you want it to be fit or do you want it to be fill? We have like the maximum width, the alignment. We can even change typography of the title. So if we want to follow any of these fonts in here, that we should have set up on the settings in here under typography. And we can change the color, and we can change even the appearance if we want to add a background for it. And we can change the paddings in here. I like to keep things simple, so I will keep my title as it is. And under the title, we have the price. And mostly this is all what you need to have: the product title and the price, nothing more. You might want to add a slogan or a simple description. And in this case, you click here on plus and you choose to add a text. And this text now is going to be your slogan. So maybe you want to add something like the perfect piece for your home, let's say, or if you want, we want to say it's sustainable and clean, and we can make it italic, for example. Later on in this video, I'm going to show you how to make this dynamic, so different from one product to another, because let's say you want to say something different about each of your products, or maybe you want to include a special review in here that's different than the review for another product. So we are going to cover how to make this dynamic again. So this is the first part. Then after it, we have the product description, which is pulling out from the product description in here. So this is the product description that I'm seeing. And then we have divider. It's provided by the theme. We have the variant picker. Then you have the variant picker, and this is where they choose between the different variants of the product. And as you can see in here, I'm using the buttons option because I wanted to show the colors of my different variants. But if your variant isn't color, it's size, for example, you want to turn off the swatches and make this drop down. So instead of seeing the options next to each other, you see this option in here. For the conversion rate, it's better always to use the buttons option. It's much easier to access it. It usually improves the product conversion page. So keep it unless you have a lot of options and it's going to like make this section very long. I'm going to turn on the swatches again. If you want to know how I was able to do this, now let's talk a little bit about the swatches and how I was able to show them directly in here. And I'm not using any app. This is natively done by Shopify. So how you can do this? Well, it's super simple. You just need to provide the right information while you are adding your product to your Shopify store. So when I was adding this product to my store, Shopify detected by default that this is a decorative item and created to me in here under the category Metafields, the color Metafield by default. That's it. I just made sure that this Metafield is linked to my variants in here. So I chose the same names in here, and by doing this, my swatches appear directly on my product page. Now, if you have special colors or if you have patterns for your swatches, things can be a little bit different and you might need to do some more steps, but still they are super simple. If you want to know everything about swatches and how you can set them up natively within Shopify, I highly recommend you to check this video on my YouTube channel where I discuss this topic in details. It's super simple, again, but if you have something like fancy colors, fancy patterns, you might need to check this video. Once you are done with this, the swatches are going to appear in here. Now, under all Shopify themes, this is covered and the swatches are going to appear. One more thing that you can do if you want to edit your swatches settings is to go in here to settings, and usually in most themes you will see a section for the swatches. As you can see in here, you can choose, instead of showing the colors, for example, to show the variant images. This is also an option that you can go with. It depends on your products, and you can change in here like the settings of the swatches. I'm gonna go back to the colors. I prefer them in this case. After the swatches, the variant picker, we have the buy buttons, and these are by default by Shopify. You can decide to hide quantity if you think that no one is going to buy 2 items from your product at the same time. So if you are selling something super expensive like an inversion table for $500, most probably no one is going to buy 2 at the same time, so you can hide the quantity and like save some space. Then you have the add to cart, and then you have the accelerated checkout, and this is the dynamic button from Shopify. Since my product now is sold out, I can't see it, so let me go back and add some quantity, or actually I'll remove the quantities from here, detection from here, so I can see the option. I will remove this option so I don't see sold out on my editor in here. And let's now refresh. And as you can see, I have the add to cart and I have the buy button. And under this section, we have the policies. So if you want to add the policies, they are in here if someone wants to access them. Well, usually I prefer to do something different, and I highly recommend you to do it. So I prefer to have tabs that talks about the most important things or replies to the most important questions my customers might have. So for example, for this product, my customers might be wondering about the material or the dimensions. So what I'm going to do is to click on add block, and as you can see, I can choose between all of these different options in here. I will go with accordion, which is the tab I want to create. And as you can see, I have 3 by default. I can remove, I can add, it's up to me. I will start by the first one. Having a return policy in here is super important, and having a shipping policy in here is super important. Even the manufacturing is important. So I will do something. I will add a plus, and I will add my accordion. And this time I'm going to call it, for example, dimensions. I can keep it open or close it, and I can even add an icon to it at the beginning if I want. I'm gonna skip this. But it's very important to make sure that in these accordions, you are replying to the most important questions your customers might ask. This is super important. This is the part where your customers are going to land. So making sure that you have packed it with the most important information is super important. And in here, you can fill out the dimensions. So let's say we can put width, length, and I'm not sure else. And you can change the layout. And again, you can make the things in here dynamic, so different from one product to another, and I will be showing you how to do this later in this video. But for now, we are filling the information directly in here, so everything that we are doing is practically only applicable to this product. Later on, we'll show you how to make them dynamic. And I can have one, so this is for the dimensions. You can have one for your return and exchanges policy, one for your shipping policies, and one if you have something special that you want to say, for example, key benefits, or who is it for, or how to use it, and stuff like that. For the returns and exchanges policy and the shipping policy, I like to do the following. I like to include a small summary of my policy, then link to my full policy in here. So basically, I go in here to the text. I will give them a short summary of my return policy. You can take your return page, give it to ChatGPT, and ask it to create a small summary. And I will add in here, like, if you want to know more, check our full policy in here. and you select this. You click here on insert link, and you can choose in here from your pages your return policy, or if it's under policies, you go to policies and you choose it from here. And that's it. I like to do this for my returns policy and for my shipping policies. Even if I have a size chart, I like to do this. Let's actually do a size chart. So there are so many ways. Let's actually do a size chart. Well, there is so many ways of how we can add a size chart in here. You can add it as an image. You can add it as a table in here. It depends on how complicated your size chart is. But if you want to add it as an accordion, just click here, or as a tab, just click here and add this one. And you click on size chart and you name it size chart. And in here you fill the size chart information. This must be dynamic because sizes are going to be different from one product to another. We will cover this later, but this is one way of including your size chart. The only thing that you can do in here is to include a table, which is something that many of you might need to include, especially if you sell, for example, t-shirts and you have different sizes. In many of the advanced themes, you will have a size chart option by itself to fix this problem, so you can include tables and so on. But I think because this is a basic theme, you won't be finding this. You will be able to include some text in here. But don't worry, if your size charts are tables, you can include them always down the road as an image. So this is basically all the information that you need to put in here. There is also something that I like to put in here, and it is to have like a small line of icons that highlights the most important things about my product. So let's say if it's vegan, if it's organic, if it's sustainable, if it's handmade, stuff like that. So I'm not sure if this theme offers this option, so let's check. So you click in here on plus, and usually it should be like not an icon, like it should be like a list of icons. Let's see if it's available. Okay, I tried to add the icon block, but it doesn't work as I want. So let's see if it's available. If it's not available, okay. Sorry. I don't think this is actually available within the default theme options, but since we are using the horizon, we can always go click on generate and create anything that we want using AI. If you don't know yet, Shopify now allows you, if you are using one of the free latest Shopify themes, to use AI to create any section that you want, like literally any section. You just need to know how to talk with the AI, how to give the AI the right prompt in order to create your section. If you want to know more about this feature and how you can use it, I highly recommend you to check this video on my YouTube channel, where I show you in details how to use the AI generation section tool from Shopify. But for now, I'm going to skip creating this icon list. But if you are using a professional theme, most probably this is going to be an embedded option to have like an icon list. I like to do this. I think it's super important because people consume information in different ways. So having icons, having text, having infographics is also super important. And if your product is very complicated, I highly recommend you to work a lot on your product images so you can include the information within your product images. So instead of only having a simple product chart, you can have infographics, charts, images talking about your product benefits and your product specifications. Now that we are finished with this first part of the product page, and it's again a super important part, we start building the other parts of our product page. And there are so many things that you can do in here. Like you can go as fancy as you want, and again, it depends a lot on what type of products you are selling. In my case, for example, this is a decorative item, so I want to include a gallery of images, for example, lifestyle images of how to style the product and so on. I will start first by adding a small rich text to talk about the brand and what it stands for. So I can click here on add section, and as you can see, I can choose between all of these different sections. I can even create mine using AI. If I go to custom section, as you can see in here, I can, under this custom section, create my own section in here. But let's keep it simple and let's choose one of the sections that already exists on this theme. The sections you are going to see in here will depend on the theme you are using. But most of the themes have like the basic sections like gallery, maybe product features, but most of the themes have the most important basic sections like product gallery, like text and images, and so on. I will go in here and I will search if there is gallery. I don't think there is one. So let me scroll down to the product in here and see. So we have product highlight. And as you can see, this is a section that talks about the product highlights. We can do this. And here we have product list carousel. I'm not going to do this because if someone landed on the product page, I don't want them to leave this page. I want them to stay in here and buy the product. So I want to focus more on the product itself, on showing it in different ways, showing the different information related to it. I have in here product editorial. Again, I'm not going to use any of these things. Let's try the storytelling part. So we have editorial. So we have this with text. This could be nice. We have the FAQ. We're gonna do this definitely. Icon with text, image with text. This is the one that I was telling you about. This is the one I hoped it exists within the section in here, but it wasn't available for this section. So let me go to the images part. As you can see, we have this. This could be used for our images. So they don't basically have a gallery image, but we can always create it using AI if we want. Let me go with an image with text section to see this one. So what I'm going to do is to add a lifestyle photo in here, talk a little bit about the product in here. But again, first I want to add a rich text section to talk about the brand in general. So let me see, there is no. So this is the section. In here I will click. Again, in here you see the settings related to the section itself. So if you want to change anything about the section, the direction, the alignment, the position, you can do this from here. You can play around with these settings to make sure that this section looks exactly like you want it to look. I will go to the image now and I will replace or select from one of my lifestyle images like this. And I will keep the desktop width to be, the aspect ratio to be square, the desktop width to be fill. I don't want to add borders, but if I want to add borders, I can do this. Actually, they look nice, so I'm gonna keep them. Then I will go to the text section, and as you can see in here, you can have heading, text, and button. I'm gonna remove the button because I want them to stay on this page. I want them to buy this product. So in here, you can put, for example, style it the way you like. And under it, I can add some more text about it. If you are selling a supplement, for example, you can use this section to talk about your supplement benefits more. So you show in here an image with your supplement and you to talk in here about the supplement under the text section. If you click in plus in here, you can see the different options that you can add. So you can add an icon, an image, you can add a full page content if you wish. You can scroll down and add any of these things, like if you want to add any of them. So it really depends on how fancy or complicated you want this section to be. Usually the most important thing you need to focus on is to highlight your product's information in the best way possible. Now, the second thing I want to do is to include another image, and instead of rebuilding this section from scratch, because let's say I updated stuff in there, I will right click duplicate, and now I have this section again. This wasn't available in Shopify a few months ago. This is totally new and you need to profit from it. Now you can duplicate sections and you can even copy and paste sections across pages. For this section, instead of having the image in here, I want to have it on the other way. So I will click on this in here and it shows the image to be right. And this time, instead of having the image on the left, I want the image to be on the right. So I just need to simply drag and drop this in here. For some themes, this is going to be different. You will find this option of changing the layout, what comes first between images and text within the options in here. For this theme, it's different. You just drag and drop. So now I have two sections talking about the product. I can change the image in here. So I will go and it shows another image. So let me go, for example, with this one. And it's also square. I have the text in here and I'm talking about the product. Now let's say you want to add an FAQ section. You can go in here, click on add section and add an FAQ section. I think adding an FAQ section is super important regardless of the product you are selling. For my case, for example, it could be things like about how to style it, how to clean it, what's made for, is it handmade, how would I receive it, stuff like that. And if you are selling, for example, a gardening kit, it would be about how to use the kit. Is it fit for all seasons? Is it fit for new gardeners and stuff like that? So really it depends on your product. What I recommend you to do is to think about all the common questions your customers usually ask, or what do you see in reviews. Go to Amazon to product similar to your product and see what usually people ask about. This is going to greatly help you to plan out your FAQs. This is a very valuable section, and if you get it right, you will save yourself a lot of calls and emails asking you about the product. Also, you will be killing a lot of hesitations. For example, if I'm selling a garden kit and you didn't tell me in here, in the product page, what's inside the garden kit, it's very hard for me to make up my mind and buy the kit. This is actually something that should be in this part, not even down there. So the FAQ is super important because when you reply to all of your customers' questions, you make it easier for them to pick your product and buy it. Remember, always take Amazon as an example. Look at the Amazon product page, see how many information there are in there. Information are super important, and especially if your product is complicated. So under this section in here, you need to set up your most important questions. You can add questions, you can remove questions, it's up to you. And when you click on each of these accordions, you can add the title, which is the question, and in here you can add the information within this tab or the answer to the question. Another section that I highly recommend you to have is the product recommendation section, and I will drag it down here. It's not showing because I don't have any other product that's live, but if I had any, they will be showing in here. One more thing that I want to address in here before moving to the next step, and it is to create two more things I want to highlight in here before moving to the next step, and it is to create a totally different template for another product, is that in here under product information, most themes allow you to add a complementary product. A complementary product is similar to what you see on Amazon, which is like works best with. So if you are selling concealer, it could be the brush of the concealer. And you can set all of these product recommendations within a free app from Shopify. So you can decide what product to recommend directly here next to the product, and what even products to recommend, and even what products to recommend within the related to products section. If you want to know more about product recommendations, I highly recommend you to check this video where I talk in details about this topic. I will make sure to link to all of these videos I'm mentioning in this video below in the description, so don't worry about this. If you go to this section here, you should be able to add a complementary product. It should be available. If it's not, it's actually in here. It's the recommended product. You just need to edit and to move it in here. And when you click on it, you can see like you have the text first. So what do you want to include as text? Let me save. So when you click on it, you have first like what do you want to include as text. So when you open it, you can see that first you have the text that you want to include. Then you have the product card, or basically what you are seeing in here. Let me set up this quickly so you can have a good preview on it. I'm going back in here and I will activate one of my inactive products. So let me go to this one, click on it. I will make it active. I will also do the same for this product and this product, but this time let me bulk edit and move them into active. So now I want to go to my app, and use the app I told you about. It's called Shopify Search and Discovery app. And in here you can manage all product recommendations on your Shopify store. So if you go to recommendations, I will choose my product. And for this product, I will select the complementary products. I will choose one product as complementary. So let's say the gift card. And in here, I will choose what are my related products. So I will choose the only available ones actually, and click on add and save. Now Shopify is going to use these recommendations on my product page. This one is going to appear because I think it's low in stock. It's fine. Let me go to my store again and refresh. So now, as you can see, I have these 3 products in here under the product information. I would have loved to only see one product, so to have a complementary product. So let's see if there is another section that only shows the complementary product. So I will click. There is no actually complementary, that is all the recommendation. I prefer to have complementary. In most of the themes you will find a difference between complementary and related products. Anyway, let me go in here and see, like I can choose how many products I want to show. I will choose only 2. You can choose how to see them, the appearance, the look, the display, and so on. So in here you are recommending basically the closest product to the current purchase, and your customers can directly add these products in here. Product recommendations are extremely important and they can greatly help you to improve your store average order value, so I highly recommend you to set them up. Now if you scroll down, you should be able to see these products as well in here. And also for this section, if you click on it, you will see that you can modify the product count. So let's make it 3, and you can modify everything related to the display, to how things look like, and so on. The second thing that I want to highlight before moving to the product page templates and how to create them is that in here you can go as creative as you want. As you can see in here, there are so many options and so many sections that you can add to your product page. But I want you to think about and to always keep in mind that every section in this page should be valuable. You shouldn't be adding sections just for the sake of adding sections. So the type of your product, what you are selling, will define a lot the type of product pages you will have. If you are selling makeup, you might need a before and after section. If you are selling skincare, the same. If you are selling something that's complicated, you might need to add videos in here, and you will find a lot of options in here of sections that you can add that supports videos, for example. And now with the AI tool provided by Shopify that allows you to create any section, basically this problem is solved and you can create whatever you want. So that's it for this part. Now let's move to the next part to talk about how to create different product page templates and how to use them. We've seen together how to create a good product page. Let's say you have 2 types of products on your store. So you sell, for example, bags, and on the other hand, you sell watches. And you want different product page layouts for your bags and watches. Maybe for your bags, you want to add a gallery with images of how to style the bag. For the watches, you want to keep things simple, and instead of having a gallery, you want to have an FAQ section or a video. In this case, when you are changing the full layout of the page, you need to use templates. If you are not changing the layout, if you want to change just the content, so you want to have the same sections but different content per product, we use Metafields, and this is going to be the topic that we are going to discuss in the next part. But for different layouts, you must use templates. By default, when you start working on Shopify, you will be changing the default product page, and Shopify will be assigning this default product page to all of your products unless otherwise noted. So if we go back in here to our products and we check this product that I have created, in here there is a section that's called theme template. And as you can see, I have only one template, which is the default product, and it's applied to this product, and it will be applied to any other product on my store. But let's say I want to do something different now. I will go to online store. I will go again to customize. And this time, instead of accessing the default product page and changing it, I will click on create template. And I will tell Shopify this new template is going to be like duplicate of which template. So if you have created something before and you want to just adjust some sections in it, you can use this tool. You can use this feature. So if you have already created a template and you want to duplicate it, you can do this by choosing in here what's the base of your template. I only have the default product, so I'm gonna stick to it. And in here, I will call this one, for example, bags. And click on create template. By default, it has the same exact layout as the default product page because I've based my template based on the default product page. So for this time, instead of having these galleries, or before having these galleries, let's say I want to add a section which is something like, for example, this. Okay, I will move it up, just put it in here. And as you can see, now I have a different layout. And let's say now I don't want to have FAQs. I will hide this one. And I can add as many sections as I want, change whatever I want to change in the template, even in the product section in here. Once I do that, I just need to click save. Now, when you go back to your products in here, and you check this template section, instead of having default product page template, you have also the bags. And I can assign this new template to this product. So if I do this and click on save, and I go in here and refresh, you will see and so if we go and preview this store now, if we go to this product, you will see that it has the original layout, the default product page layout with the original sections. Now, if I go to the other product where I change the templates, if I go to this one, you will see that it has the different. Now, when I go to this product, you will see that I have a different layout. So I have this section that wasn't there, and I don't have the FAQ at the end. So in this way, you can create different templates, totally different layouts to your products. I recommend you to use templates if you have different categories and each of your product category needs different type of information. Or if you have a very few number of products and you want to have different layouts. So if you are selling, for example, just 4 products and you have main product that requires a lot of information and your other products are simply simple products that need few information. In this case, you can create a template for your main product and a template for your other products. Why it's not recommended to create 10,000 templates? Because it's going to slow your website. Creating templates means that you are adding more files to your theme, which makes your theme heavier. So try to be strategic about this. Create the templates just when you need them. Now, if you want to have the same layout for all of your products, but obviously you want to show different information, this is where Metafields come to allow you to do this without creating different templates. And this is what we are going to talk about next. Now we are going to talk about Metafields and how to use them. And it's one of my favorite topics when it comes to any Shopify tutorial, because I think using Metafields is the most effective, straightforward way to make your product pages stand out. And they are super easy, you just need to learn how to use them. Instead of talking a lot about Metafields, I will show you directly how to use them, and in this way, they will make so much sense. But basically, Metafields are there to help you create unique product pages, to turn this product page template that we have created into custom layout that changes and shows different information from one product to another. If we go in here, we are going to work with the default product page template, and I will assign it back actually to my product. I will be working on the default product page template. So we've created this product page template, and we know that by default, if we preview another product in here, the title, the price in here will be dynamic, even the variants. Shopify will be pulling this information from the product information that we have provided in here. So if we change in here the preview to another product, for example, to this one, we will see that the title is going to update, the price as well, the description as well, and the options in here. But if we want to make other things in here change with this product, this is where we need to use Metafield. Because now, if you go, for example, to the size chart, you will see this text. And if you go to another product, let's say if you go to our Unda product, you will see as well the same size chart in here, the same text. But we don't want to do this. We want to have different information per our product. How we can solve it? By using Metafield. When you go in here to the product information section, you will notice that when, for example, you access the accordion information and you click on the first one, you will see that there is this small icon in here. And this small icon, when you see in here, it means that this field can be turned into a dynamic field that's being provided from the editor in here. So I want to keep the title as it is, it's size charts for everything, but the content, I want to make the content different from one product to another. So what I will start by removing this, unless you have something that you want to say in common to all of your products, you can write it in here. And then in here, I can click and choose to connect to a dynamic source. But first, let's create our Metafield. From your Shopify dashboard, if you go to any product now and you scroll, you will see you have these options in here to fill, you have options in here, and that's it. Under product Metafields, you have 0. We are going to settings, and from here we are going to Metafields and Meta Objects, and we are going to products, and we are going to click on add definition. If we go back in here, we can notice that this field in here is a rich text field because we have bold, italic, bullets, and so on. So this is a rich text field. It's very important to make sure that you are creating the same type of field. So we go back in here, we click on name, let's call it size chart, text, let's say. And for the type, we are going to choose rich text. And if you want to look, you can see that there are so many options in here. You can choose a product, a company, you can choose a color, you can even choose single line text, multi-line text, a file. So if you want to have an image or something like this. For our case, because this field in here is a rich text, we must have something equivalent. So it's a rich text Metafield. And I will click on save. Once this is created, if you go back to your product editor and you scroll down, you will see it in here. You will see a size chart Metafield that you can fill. I'm going in here to type just a simple line. This is the size chart of product 1. I will save it. And I will go to another product now and put something different. So I will go to this one, scroll down, and in here type, this is the product chart of product 2. I will go back in here, save and refresh. In here, click on Connect Dynamic Source. And I will go to Template Product and I will choose Size Chart Text. And click on Save. So now, basically, I have connected a dynamic field instead of entering the text in here or the information in here. As you can see for this product, I'm seeing this text. If I change the preview to this product, I will see the other text, which is product chart 2. If I go back to my product, and let's say there is a sentence that I want to have in all size charts, I can go back in here to my text and I can change the content in here. So let's say this is the trial version, blah, blah, blah. And as you can see, this text now is going to be common between all my pages, but this text below is going to be dynamic in case there is some type of information or some part of the information that you want to include in all of your product pages. This same logic can apply to any content on your product page. So let's move down to the images in here. So we want to have these images dynamic, different from one product to another. You click here on the image, and as you can see, when you click on it on change, you have the option to connect to a dynamic source. So this is an image. We need to create a meta field that is also an image. So we will go back in here, click on settings, choose meta fields and meta objects, go to products, and choose this time file as a type. So as you can see, this is file, and you can choose if you want to choose one file or two files. In our case, it's one image, so it's one file. You can choose whether you want to allow images and videos or just images. I will stick to images, and that's it. I will click on save. Okay, and that's it. Sorry, I forgot to name the field, so let's name it image section 1 and click on save. Now when you go back in here and scroll down, you can see that you have this field. You just click, select image, and you can select an image from your library. So for this one, I'm gonna select this, click on save. I will go back to my product, and this time I will select a different image. So let's select this image and click on done and save. Same steps, you go back in here, you click on connect dynamic source, and you choose the meta field we just created. Just name your meta fields in a way that makes sense to you. So we see this image in here. If we change now to a different product, to this product, you will see a different image. And if you change to a product where we didn't assign any value for this meta field, you should see a blank image or like a fall down image. And you can apply the same thing to any content within this product page layout. So as you can see, if you go in here, you can see that everything in here could be linked to a dynamic source instead of being put directly in here within the page template. So far, we have covered a lot in this video. We have talked about how to create a good product page, how to use templates, how to use meta fields, and now I'm going to show you how to use AI to profit from this custom CSS section within your Shopify editor. Well, I know this might seem a little bit complicated, but it is not at all. CSS is the part of your code that's responsible of everything related to display, the colors, the fonts, sizes, spacings, and so on. Shopify now allows us to use this small part in here to change the display or the colors or the fonts of a certain section without playing around and without changing the theme code, which can be dangerous. In order to use that, and before the presence of AI, you needed to be a little bit familiar with coding or with CSS, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to know what to put in here. Well, things now are a little bit different thanks to AI. So let's say, for example, I have this section, and for this section by itself, I just want to make this title red, just for this section. I'm giving you a super simple example so you can understand how to use AI. And what you need to do is to select this section in here and to click on the three dots in here and click on edit code. We're not gonna edit the code, we're just gonna copy it and paste it in ChatGPT. So you're gonna copy this, and we are going to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to help us. So from ChatGPT, I will type the following. I want you to give me the CSS I need to add within my Shopify editor. So the heading of this section will be red with a yellow background. And I will paste the code and click on enter. ChatGPT is going now to return to me just the CSS that I need to copy and paste within my section. So it gives me this, even instructions of how to use it. So I will copy this. I will move back in here, and just in this section, I will paste. And as you can see, now I have my text red with a yellow background. And with the same logic that we have changed the color of the text and the background, you can do whatever you want to your Shopify sections. Sometimes it would need a little bit of iteration in order for you to know how to talk to ChatGPT in the right way, because it's very important to be very clear about what you want to change. But giving the section code to ChatGPT make it super easier, because it will return directly the CSS that you want to paste in here. We're using this a lot for many things, because adding CSS in here is way easier and it's way safer than changing the theme code itself. And by the way, even when you update the theme, the code is going to stay in here and it's going to be preserved, so you have no problem with anything. I usually finish my videos by telling you to watch the next video that makes sense, but in this case, I'm going to invite you to watch this full playlist. I truly believe that mastering Shopify and knowing how to profit from all the different features that are there is super important to make your store better. Shopify is now better than ever. It has so many native options. It can save you a lot of money and time. There are so many third-party apps that you don't need anymore, because Shopify has embedded all of these options natively within the platform. So I highly recommend you to check this playlist. I'm pretty sure you will discover a lot of amazing things that you can do with Shopify and that can help you to improve your store and improve your conversion rate and hopefully improve your sales.